So, Professor Bakshi sir, you are here?
Yes, Vimal,
Yeah, so, right, sir. So, welcome again. And Principal sir will be joining in another 10-15 minutes, but he has told me to get started. So, we will just let me share my screen. So, good evening, everyone in India, and good morning in UK. Welcome to both the teams, the NPTC group of colleges and the team GAD-TLC, and all dear colleagues who have joined as participants from both UK and India, and perhaps many other parts of our world as well. So, welcome each and everyone. And in this India-UK International Webinar on Future of Teaching Learning, today, 29th November 2022, 5 p.m. IST, we are beginning, and in the esteemed panel of this particular webinar, we have Professor Ved Prakash sir. He is former chairman, University Grants Commission. He'll be joining soon. He'll be joining us from US. We have Professor Jaswinder Singh, who is Director GAD-TLC. We have Professor James Levlin, who is Head of International Operations, NPTC Group of Colleges. Professor A.K. Bakshi, Chairman GAD-TLC and Chairman NRC Chemistry of Ministry of Education. And we have Christopher Manley, the co-coordinator with me from NPTC Group of Colleges and Senior Lecturer. And I welcome each one of you. And here I am, Vimal Rar, who is your host for this event. I welcome you on behalf of Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Khalsa College and University of Delhi, where our premier institution, Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center, is situated. This center is a center of Ministry of Education under the prestigious Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission on Teachers and Teaching Scheme, where many centers across the country are there who are training teachers in different requirements. And out of around 90 centers, we are in the leading 3 centers who have trained more than 75,000 teachers since 2016. Let me briefly introduce you the NPTC group of colleges, and more will be done by Chris. NPTC group of colleges, formerly Neathport Talbot College and College Boys, is one of the largest further education providers in Wales, covering 30% of the country's landmass. The college offers exciting and variety of programs of full and part-time courses of more than 270,000 residents stretching from south to north Wales. And with this program, I think, Chris, you will be also entering into the Indian community, I will say the community of learners, where all the students and teachers we belong to. And let me also introduce the UK Awards body also to all of you. UK Awards brings NPTC group of colleges and GAD-TLC together. UK Awards brings together a team with extensive experience of running and awarding organization in the supply of technology, quality assurance, and assessment development. UK Awards develop and administers qualifications that are rigorous in their design and application, and their aim is to adopt international best practice in their approach to quality and standards, and constantly review their policies and regulation to ensure the highest quality. And it is guided by a team of expert practitioners throughout the world for the formation of governance and standards board. And it has the mandate where the recognition in terms of giving credits and awards to various universities. So I welcome our partners, NPTC group of colleges and UK Awards also in this particular international webinar. Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center is having the name from Guru Angad Dev Ji, the second of the 10 Sikh Gurus. and chosen by none other than Guru Nanak Dev Ji to take his preachings to the world. And in our humble efforts, we are taking this further, where we are having teachers getting empowered in various fronts in terms of how the technology can be integrated, whether it is in the term of creation of small e-learning objects, the teachers take it, and also learning the various pedagogies and the technology tools which can be integrated in their teaching, learning, and otherwise other roles. So those who have joined today, I welcome each one of you in this India-UK International webinar on future of teaching learning. And the registration form is still open. So those who have not filled the form, please, you can see the link here. And I also welcome many who have joined in our YouTube channel. If you have not filled the link for the certification purpose, it becomes my duty that yes, please do fill up this form, and then we'll be able to process it further. Along with, there will be feedback forms also coming. Both have to be filled so that we'll be able to generate certificates for you. In this today's webinar, which is themed on future of teaching learning, here we are together learning from different counterparts in the world, and this time we have very happy that we are having NPTC group of colleges to be collaborating in this webinar, and the practices in terms of pedagogy, the various technical tools, what challenges they are having as the teachers there in terms of not the subject, but the subject neutral, how in terms of the group size, in terms of the interactions, how the technology, does it become barrier or it becomes empowering tool. All this is, I think, going to be deliberated in many of our future events coming up. So let me introduce very briefly the esteemed panelist, and I'll first be paying my gratitude to Professor James Levlin, who will be joining shortly. And just 2-3 days back, he was there in our center. He's the head of International Operation, NPTC Group of Colleges, UK. And I'm thankful to him for taking this association further in a very great way. And now we'll be having regular events with NPTC Group of Colleges. And to entire team of NPTC Group of Colleges, I can see Angela and many others who are there. My coordinator from this program and the future upcoming program also will be telling you briefly is Christopher Manley is a senior lecturer NPTC Group of Colleges, and he started his journey as a faculty in 2004 at NPTC Group of Colleges. And during the course of his career as a lecturer, he has taught learners on wide range of different levels and taught learners of all abilities. The teaching experience ranges from full delivery to 16 to 19-year-old learners on A-level as well as vocational courses, full and part-time delivery to higher education students, various degree programs, also to returning adults, the lifelong learners who are there, and especially, I think, CPGA program on Hunan Professional Railway College. So I think multiple skills, a diverse type of learners, I think, Chris, you have handled. Chris has also focused more on teacher education as well as cyber security, network security, AI, and the Internet of Things. And I think these are the things which need to be integrated to analyze how the teaching is really effective and the learning is also happening effectively from both the points of view. We have to be integrating, and I'm sure we'll be learning a great deal from your this rich expertise. He was also appointed HNC coordinator in 2018, working with a team of talented individuals. And during the 2022 QAA review meeting, he was one of the 3 HE coordinators asked to speak to express ideas and support the college strategy on the QAA panel of experts. And QAA is, let me tell you, it is the Quality Assurance Agency for Higher Education. So very warm welcome to you, Chris. And we are looking forward for many words of wisdom coming from you, where we can also learn a lot. The next speaker today is going to be our own very distinguished, very senior professor, chairman of Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center. And he is former head and chair professor, Department of Chemistry, University of Delhi. He just relinquished his position as Vice Chancellor, PDM University. And prior to that, he was also Executive Director at Tertiary Education Commission, Mauritius. So he has that global expertise in terms of policy formation, being a good administrator as well as a good teacher. And from last many years, we are working as a team to take these things further. And he again has a very long CV, but I feel in our this group, many are already aware. He has many awards. Very briefly, I will tell. And I think more than 45 years now, he has been into higher education and still so much active. So welcome, Professor Bakshi sir, in this international webinar. We will have Professor Jaswinder Singh, who will be joining from, again, he's traveling today, but then he is Director GAD-TLC and Principal SCTB Khalsa College, and he's a well-known economist and co-PI of EPG Pathshala project, a major product of UGC, where many MOOCs he has developed along with our team, and member of various committees at the national level. GAD-TLC, I'll also introduce our other distinguished members. Professor Ved Prakash sir, he is former chairman, University Grants Commission, and he is again an academician, which is, I think we can rate him as a stalwart in higher education in India. He has held the topmost 3 positions in University Grants Commission for almost 15 years. And UGC is a body which is policy formulation. It is giving guidance to all other higher education institutions, universities and colleges, and forming various regulations, the rules, including even how the teachers' services and all, and including the funding and other things. He is former chairman UGC, and he has also been Chancellor of KIT University and many other committees like DAV National Management Committee, which is also running various institutions in the country. He was also the Vice Chancellor of NIPA. Prior to that, he has held many other administrative positions, and he is again awardee of various national and international awards. So he'll be joining around 6:30 because he will be joining from the west coast of US, so the time zone will be permitting him to do so. So with these words, I welcome each and everyone, and especially all dear colleagues who have joined on Zoom and those who have joined on YouTube. Welcome to this international webinar. And can I see Professor Jaswinder Singh has joined? Or if I may request Professor Bakshi sir, if you can give a brief welcome address, because Principal sir is not yet joined. And then we will move further, please.
Good evening, everybody. Let me at the very outset extend my warm greetings to all the participants from across the country, including dignitaries from UK. We have our friends from UK who are with us, Christopher and Angela, and other colleagues from India, mainly Professor Ved Prakash would be joining, and Professor Jaswinder Singh would also be joining shortly. You know, it's a great pleasure to welcome you all to this webinar, and I'm sure that this webinar is going to be very, very interesting for each one of us, because it is on a theme which is very much discussed everywhere as to what is going to be the future of teaching and learning, how things are going to change. And therefore, I really look forward to words of wisdom from our friends from UK as well as our colleagues from India. And I'm sure you will find all the deliberations very interesting and mind-blowing. So my best wishes, and once again, a lot of thanks to all of you for making it convenient to be a part of this webinar. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for this very crisp welcome note. Now I'll rather request Chris, my counterpart, to please give the welcome address from your side and your session also, where you will highlight upon this theme, that is the future of teaching learning. So over to you, Chris.
Brilliant, fantastic. Thank you very much. And another warm welcome to everybody who's in attendance. It's very nice to see lots of people from various different locations. Obviously, as Professor Vimal has already highlighted, that we've been doing the same thing that we have been in teaching for quite a number of years, and it's quite an exciting opportunity to be able for us to relate those experiences and our kind of education over to our Indian counterparts. So obviously the James is currently traveling around India, so rather than sort of trying to take over what he was doing, I'm just going to extend my section. Okay, so hopefully that's going to be okay. So I'm just going to put a PowerPoint on and I will talk you through it as we go. So just give me just 2 minutes. Okay. Okay, so could everybody see that?
Yeah, it's perfect. Fine.
Fantastic. Okay, so a couple of months ago, okay, we have been working quite significantly with GAD-TLC. We came across the idea of maybe looking for a kind of a focused sort of collaboration between ourselves, and then we came up with this sort of strategy, being able to give back to whichever individuals would be interested in kind of understanding a little bit of education from our point of view. So what I've sort of put together is this unit specification. So I'll cover the course with you in quite some detail. So the actual collaborative work, okay, and it was sort of trying to come with that sort of common ground between ourselves, between a UK and the way that we kind of work on things, and with India. So the course that we've kind of developed together in that collaboration is sort of the unit specifications that I've written. So what the learners will actually achieve at the end of this course is a condensed version, and I'll go through with that in a little bit more detail shortly. So the unit specifications that I've written, and as Professor Vimal has highlighted, is in conjunction with the UK awards. So there's 3 units that I've actually created, and they've sort of gone through. So the unit 1 was technology in education strategy in both the India and the UK. Unit 2 is teacher and assessment pedagogy. And then unit 3 is teaching with technology in the 21st century digital tools. So to give you a little bit of background, a little bit of an overview on these, the teaching and education strategy for ourselves is focused entirely on those pedagogies, those ideas that are in development before it actually gets to the teaching classroom environment. So what exactly is going on within those sort of frameworks, within those different locations within the UK and with India, to be able to get digital in the classroom. And as well as that, they were looking at the teaching and assessment pedagogy, which is, as you know, how you deliver your classes is based on that pedagogy and understanding exactly where you can put the right bit of digital material or the right intervention with the students, maybe the right set of questioning, in order to then be able to get the best from your students. And then for the last unit then, which is teaching with technology. So it's all sort of one overview for all of these things happening at the same time. So in the United Kingdom, we've got 4 different strategies that are part of our digital sort of makeup. Okay, so in Scotland, it is the enhanced learning and teaching through the use of digital technology. So this was the kind of forefront of where everybody's at with the digital kind of makeup where we're working towards. So in 2016, they started to look into how digital information could be brought forward to students and teaching, in a more effective way. So to follow suit, Ireland, Wales, and England, which is these 3 locations here. So this is all of England, this section, then came up with their own strategies that would coincide with Scotland's idea of being able to bring digital technology to the classroom. And what it enabled us to do is, rather than sort of saying we're going to teach this as something that's slightly outside of your regular classroom teaching, it's going to be embedded, and it's going to be that keyword, which is seamless. So anything that's seamless in our teaching and allows us then to be able to do it without too much effort, too much time preparation, but it is more about being able to use it ad hoc and on the fly and as we go. So the course breakdown itself. Okay, so first session is going to be delivered by our colleagues, myself included, and it's going to be the technology in education strategy. So the unit has been made up of, first of all, explaining the need for strategy and how it relates to public confidence. So whether or not you're available or aware of kind of media press on public confidence, but what it looks at is, it's not just about the way that we can push ourselves forward, it's about something that's not necessarily measurable, because public confidence is something that's out there, and where the students, the teachers, the parents, the governing bodies have actually got confidence in what we're delivering. Okay, so we need to look at that strategy and see how it relates. Again, it's not a measurable context, but you still got to find how it actually can make some kind of connection between the two. Then it would be to identify the similarities between these documents. So once you look at those different strategies, which would be India and the 4 that I've just highlighted with regards to the UK, you're looking for those similarities to see that actually we're all working on the same thing at the same time. So we can learn from each other in various different methods and various different aspects. And then to describe the impact that this sort of would form the implementation sort of provides. So we've got now a few different sort of command verbs that we call them. And if you're describing the impacts, once that strategy has become policy, obviously it then becomes governance, you can then try to interpret the best way of implementing that. Okay, so, what you're actually trying to do in that first unit, those first learning outcomes, is seeing whether that it's going to be something that's actually going to make a better student. And then these last 2 points here, which would be to investigate how the strategy document has been implemented to policy and determine how this has been, that could actually improve an education establishment. So as you can see, this now is breaking down not just what we deliver, so you can see everything. We will teach you everything that you need to know, but it's also the things you should expect to be able to produce yourself. So if you think of any of these unit specification content, you can go into your classroom and describe the impact, and you can investigate different kind of strategies. So it gives you more of a self-directed learner, and you become more of an autonomous learner. You'll start then investigating things here in a bit more context. Okay, so this session 2 is then run by GAD-TLC, and is looking at the massive open online courses, or MOOCs, as you're probably aware of. And what I've written sort of into this here would be looking for the aim and objectives. So the aim is actually for staff to have a better understanding of the use of MOOCs. So they look for describing the purposes of having these available, search for suitable MOOCs that you could have maybe in the UK or maybe in India, and evaluate the usefulness. But this last section here, which is to develop the framework in selecting MOOCs for further professional development. So you may find a particular course that you're going to share practice. Now, share practice is a big thing that I'll come on to a little bit later with ourselves, where if we find something we find it useful, how we can give that to other people, how can we impart that knowledge to others so that everybody's moving forward rather than us in our own little journey, moving one at a time. We do it as institutions, we do it as collaborations with other institutions, we do it across counties. So everybody's then continuing on with that further development. So this session 3 is then looking at teacher pedagogy in the UK. So this would be evidence-based teaching, positive learning environment, questioning, and experiential learning. So evidence-based teaching is one of the things that we'll cover in quite some significant detail when we cover in the course. And it's literally then about how you can get your students to produce the right work at the right time using the right interventions. So this content then would be list, describe, and explain those teacher pedagogies, explanation of the application of those teacher pedagogies, evaluation and the application of those pedagogies, and then we're looking at schemes of work and cross-cutting themes. So this now, as it's moved on, it's not just about how we're going to deliver, it's about planning. Okay, and planning is a significant part of what we do. And we, again, share practices. We look to see how other people are doing things. And we've even gone on visits to various other colleges in order to produce something that's a little bit further forward than where we currently are, or where maybe we can help them where they currently are. So that's that idea behind that. That's session 3. Session 4 would be then teaching with pedagogy in the 21st century using digital tools. So there's a bit of a difference between the things that we've got available in the UK versus what you've got available in India. So we'll show you the different digital tools that we use, and then you can look to see what's available in your country. There could be something that you think, well, that might be useful in a certain context, but it's always good to have like a bank of different digital tools available to you at any given time. So should you see there's maybe a different energy with your students, that you can ask them the right questions, or you can bring in the right digital tool in order to then help them forward with it. So this session 5 would be to keep them active, engaging with students online and those hybrid courses. You've got these effective interactions, both synchronous and asynchronous. And I'm sure you're already aware of these two different terms, synchronous and asynchronous. So we'd be looking and giving that evaluation, which I always look to see like a critical thinking kind of pathway. And if you can start critically thinking about the ways that you're going to use those tools and understand as teachers, because again, we're not trying to show you how to be a teacher, we're just trying to show you how we have improved and how we've got to where we are. Okay, so session 6 is then done by GAD-TLC, which would be the online technology skills, challenges, and opportunities. So the aim of this is to understand the digital pedagogy used to implement online technology for teaching and learning. And you're going to obviously have a chance then to investigate the types of things that you could use, so determine that suitable location. And it's not about you've implemented it and it works. It may not work the first time, but then what can you adjust about it? You know, one of the biggest things that I always say is failure, you know, is okay. We're okay to fail, but as long as we change it, we evaluate it and we improve on it, then we can put it right then for the next class or for the next time we want to use it. Okay, session 7 is then the formative and summative assessments. So way that we kind of implement this in our kind of college is we kind of explore those various different forms of formative and summative assessment pedagogies, and then how we can implement them. So we've got various different strategies, for instance, presentations, or it could be uploads with comments from members of staff, but we've got different things that we use. So we're going to explain to you what we use, how we do it, and the methods then that you could try and adopt, and as well as those kind of strategies and implementation methods. Session 8 is then creating effective assessments using rubrics. So a rubric is a kind of chart or a table, and this is split up into various different learning outcomes or learning nodes or learning objectives. And there's sort of like a scale, okay? And it's an effective method that universities use, and we're adopting themselves to show students that in order to achieve the best that you can achieve, here's your grade. If you're aiming for the distinction, if you're aiming for that A grade, this is what you need to achieve. And then the student then becomes self-directed and that autonomous understanding that they can push themselves forward to understand exactly what they need to do to get that grade. So it's not hidden away from them, it's given to them directly. Okay, and then we're looking at those technology and assessments again. So formative and summative always brings up that concept. So we're coming towards the end. So we've got, I think, about 12 sessions altogether. So this is session 9. And this is now models for instructional designing. So the scheme of work, lesson planning, and looking for any kind of designing those learning outcomes. So it's before the class starts, is putting this down on paper and discussing it maybe with other members of staff, or looking at any continued professional development that you may be involved in order to increase the chances of your students achieving. So you've got that multimodal kind of method. So the session criteria here is to determine learning outcomes that can be provided and develop the evidence descriptors. So this then, you know, you look back to see maybe how you learned. I know when I was in university and in college, it was a sort of a didactic kind of teaching where, you know, everything was given to me. It was given to me. And then I started to kind of question, how am I going to best learn with this? So we're trying to induce that to the students so that they take control of their own learning. And as long as everything's organized in an excellent fashion, that the students can take that over themselves. So session 10 is online course development. This is the design, preparation and delivery, and also managing different sizes and online groups in the UK. Okay, how we do things with our teams. So again, this is coming back to that public confidence that, you know, your students, and I know I always do, they go home, they tell their parents how excited they were. And when we come in for parents' evenings, they're always really vocal about how well they find the classes and how things are so different to when they were in school, because we've got that approach of just being able to manage those sizes, manage those classrooms, give them sufficient support. Okay, and that's going to recovering some of that Unit 1 criteria. So this session 11, which would be delivered by your Indian colleagues, okay, would be the competency-based questions for higher order thinking skills. So we're now looking back to student engagement that actually goes beyond facts and memory, and maybe the objectives that they can split this into is improvement of questioning. So you're going to learn some exciting ways of how to improve your questioning in the classroom to get the best from your students in that formative capacity, but also so that they learn in the material that you're currently going through. Also then the identification of any missing information from the learning event. So to be acutely aware of what you could be missing from your own understanding for something, that's where we've developed. And, as many of you are sort of professors and doctors, I'm studying to be a doctor myself. I know exactly what I'm missing. So it's being able to show myself and evaluate my self-progress. So I'm doing that as an autonomous learner. I'm doing that on my own understanding, because I know that this works. And, if you look through various different kind of strategies of recording this, some of them are simple, some of them are quite complicated, but ultimately then it's just about that self-evaluation. And for this the session, we've actually got one of our managers to be part of this panel of discussions. And this is where you're going to find out a little bit more of an insight from our NPTC group, how it's adopted the digital strategy about things for online and blended learning. So in recent months, we've had visitors from various different locations, from GISC, okay, which is a charity based in Wales that is part of this strategy of movement. And it allows you then to look at how exactly we do, and you've got a chance then to ask questions, find a little bit more out. And again, you go back to that self-evaluation, that thing that you're missing, that acute awareness of what you're missing from your understanding. You can ask Nicola, because she's extremely knowledgeable and she knows exactly what's going on across all of the campuses. Okay, so that's the course in sort of in a very brief nutshell. So what we actually do ourselves, and we've adopted this as our strategy and our kind of implementation. It's all sort of governed by various different individuals. Nicola is on the digital side. You've also heard of Phil Jones, and he's on the teaching and learning side. But it's a very successful structure for teaching and learning. And we've got over 1,000 staff, which are teaching across a variety of different subjects in 13 different curriculum areas. And that shows that because we're able to adopt this kind of strategy and push things forward, you should we've obviously adopted it as being, this is our way of working, but to everyone else, as you can see in the point further down, we're actually the #1 vocational education deliverer in Wales. And it's just down to strategy, quality assurance, understanding, and then our own members of staff becoming self-aware of things that they want to do, things that they want to push forward, and thinking, well, that would be a good thing to try out, speaking to others, sharing the best practices again, and then everybody moving forward in the same pathway. So ultimately, we want to help you. Okay, so that's the whole point behind this course. Okay, is we want to show you what we can do, and we're going to help you along with that process. So looking forward, once you sort of completed the course, hopefully you become self-directed learners, but also we're going to be creating a forum to help share those best practices. So, you know, we'll be putting up our ideas, you can put up your ideas, and you can share those ideas then across people in the whole of India. And everybody is then learning from each other, and it's all a collaborative effort. So as long as you've sort of understood the process behind those 3 kind of unit specifications, as well as all of the content that's delivered by our fabulous staff, then you'll eventually come back with successful learners and better results. Okay, because again, it's the student, it's the learner, it's this pupil, whatever kind of capacity you're teaching, them taking control and understanding a little bit more. So the course itself, okay, this is obviously, I'll do this as the last slide now, because I think we may have a few questions. I can see some popping up in the chat. So the course itself is a short course. So it's a 1 week, but it's a condensed version of our extremely successful 30-week, 4 hours a week program of study. So the whole point behind this is that we've extracted the most relevant sections, because the teachers, you're all teachers, you all know how to teach, but we want to show you the things that we've considered in extreme kind of scrutiny, that what would have the biggest impact for your learners. Okay, and because it's such a successful model, we're going to share that with you. And we'd also like to continue working with you in the future, in whichever capacity. So my email address is available, so you can contact me, and there's lots of different things, lots of exciting things that we can do. So hopefully that's going to give you a bit of a flavor for the course itself. And I hope to see you all in the sessions. So hopefully that hasn't taken up too much of the time, Professor Philmo.
No, not at all. Yeah, please.
Okay, well, I'll stop sharing now. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris, for giving an overview of the entire program outline that we have designed with NPTC group of colleges along with UK award body. This is what is the future of teaching learning, as rightly so. This particular today's webinar we kept so that we can understand the needs, that how the teaching learning in the coming years is going to be changing a lot, and more so because of the intervention of the technology, the newer policy getting evolved, and I think rightly said, Chris, that we will be doing it in a more collaborative, continuous effort. So this is just a beginning, and we wanted to share with all our teaching colleagues from across the country that NPTC group of colleges and GAD-TLC, now we want to make a collaborative effort where we can learn from each other. And I'm sure, Chris, you will agree with us that the challenges which are there in UK, we can learn from there what learnings you have. And it will also be reversed, because in India, we have the teacher-student ratio, which is quite a challenging. So how do you take the technology in that way? And how, as I already know, you are expert in AI, so we'll be working on that. And together, we can also create some e-learning objects, or I have myself conceptualized this concept of teachers e-kit, which are the digital tools that what all we require to teach in a classroom, where you are taking the technology as a layer. And then if those models can also be shared, I'm sure teachers in UK also have developed, and your group of colleges itself is having so many courses and so many teachers. So if we can also share these resources in a common platform, I think it will be very useful. So rather than we reinventing everything, or you working on the models which can be here. And I will also like to acknowledge that, yes, your course in China, the teachers training course, is going very well, and in many. So it is a condensed version of the course that we have worked together, and I'll be giving you more details, those who are joined in together. But then we have so much exciting things to discuss today in this international webinar, which is the future of teaching learning. And before I invite Professor Bakshi, I can see Professor Jaswinder Singh, Director GAD TLC and Principal STTB Khalsa College, University of Delhi, has also joined. Welcome, sir. And we started because you were moving and
thank you.
welcome
Thank
again.
you, Dr.
So please, you give formal welcome address, and please say it.
Sure.
Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Vimal. And thank you, Christopher, for giving us the introductory talk. And let me welcome Professor A.K. Bakshi, who is the chairman of our center, and he is a very distinguished academician, and he has contributed very significantly to the Indian education system. And I'm sure later in the evening we will be joined by one of the very prominent personalities in India, Professor Ved Prakash, who is who has headed rather the higher education regulator in India for a very significant period of time. Today, and let me also welcome all the participants who have joined this evening to a very special webinar, and that is how we can improve upon the teaching methodologies, the teaching pedagogies, and how we can learn from each other. In fact, we were searching for our international partners, and let me express my gratitude to Mr. Gagan, who has helped us in a number of ways in developing this association, and also the management or the organization of NPTC group of colleges in UK. And we have learned that you have huge experience in the teaching methodologies, and also in fact I was going through some of the parts 2 days ago from your website, and I have learned that there are very large number of international students also which are coming to your NPTC group of colleges. And it is India in fact is at the threshold of reforming its higher education system. If I give you a slightly brief history, because I see many new names on the screen, Indian education system, which in fact we got independence in 47, and from 70 till rather 70, we were very conservative in terms of expanding our education, but it was predominantly public funded education. It was the government was opening the universities and colleges, and these were predominantly the public funded institutions. Then from 70 onwards, we find that even though it remained predominantly public funded education, but it has transformed after our first education policy after independence in 1968, which we adopted. And very bright brains contributed to that, including the people who laid the foundation for education, Professor Radhakrishnan and others. And then in the 80s, if you look at turning around 80s, we find that it was a massive task, and the requirement of higher education was huge. And it was thought that, like other developed countries, we can encourage the private institutions also. And as a consequence, we find that from the 1980s onwards, the private sector has also set up many educational institutions, and it is the cooperative effort which is going up. But it the education remained predominantly relatively general in nature. But from the 1980 onwards, rather from 1970 onwards, the professional education, especially medical, engineering, and other courses, architecture and very specialized courses, they started coming up, and very specialized institutions also came up on the scene. And if we look at the number of the universities and the colleges which have gone, which are multiplied, in fact, many times. I think we had very less number of universities in the 50s, and now the number of the university is close to 1,000, and the number of colleges in India is more than 42,000 currently. So we find that the higher education has expanded, and also these school pass outs who are joining the higher education, their number and their ratio, their percentage has gone up very, very significantly. In the 70s, we found that it was around 10%, but now it is close to rather 5%, and now it has gone up to 27%, which we call as the gross enrollment ratio. That is the percentage of the students who are rolling out of the schools, who are passing and graduating from the schools and joining the higher education. So in a way, the quantum of requirement is massive, and by 2035, 2035, the government of India wants that this gross enrollment ratio should expand to almost 50%. Currently, it is 27%. So, we need to build up our institutions both quantitatively as well as, qualitatively, by incorporating the technology which is available in a number of ways. You had mentioned, in fact, many of the steps which NPTC organization is adopting in UK, and we also, as far as the massification of higher education is concerned, I can tell you that in the next 2 decades, Indian higher education system is going to expand, and it is going to achieve new heights. And we are looking at both the types of requirements. First, the type of courses that we are designing for the students, and also the training of the teachers, which is, of course, is a very, very basic requirement. The training of the teachers, how do they face the students, how do they deliver the content, and how they develop their relationship with the students. So it is the course revision, it is adoption of the relevant courses, and also adoption of the new methods of teaching, which is of paramount importance. And we in University of Delhi, for instance, since SGTB Khalsa College is a part of the University of Delhi, and GAD-TLC Guru Angad Dev Teaching Learning Center was awarded to us by the Ministry of Education. So we are trying to train the teachers, and also, we are helping the students so that they can develop their very close relationships with them. So it is both in terms of improving the quality of the courses, and then training of the teachers. And then also, which is important, is assessing the students. You mentioned, in fact, the various types of assessment tools which can be mentioned, and Dr. Ephemerality has also done a very important work which is being considered by the University of Delhi for adoption, and our center is contributing significantly to that effort. And what is required at this stage is that it is how we can bring about the qualitative change in the higher education so that it becomes meaningful. We do not know 20 years from now what kind of jobs would be there, but the students should be trained. We are giving the education, but whether this education is appropriate for the jobs which will be available 20 years from now or 30 years from now, that we do not know. That perspective we do not have. So the students need to be prepared to these uncertainties, and they are the future the leaders of our nation, which is huge. And in India, you might have read in the newspapers and in the international media, India is emerging as a very strong nation in the Asian context because of various geopolitical factors, because of the various socioeconomic reasons, and it is a huge market. And one of the reasons why very large number of students, they are migrating abroad is the education. They take the education route, and once they acquire the education there, then they get employment also there. But we expect them to come back and improve our own system. There are very institutes of eminence like Indian Institutes of Technology, Indian Institutes of Management, then Indian Institutes of Science. There are various national engineering institutes of technology which are contributing in a number of ways. But these are the areas I think where NPTC organization can help us in improving the quality of the teachers, and also in improving their teaching standards on the one side. On the other side, how we can initiate the new courses. Perhaps in the days to come we can think of awarding the joint degrees through the credit transfers, because the government of India and the University Grants Commission, which is our regulator, they have permitted us to go into this area, and they expect us to develop close association with those institutions which are doing qualitatively and quantitatively in their own nations. So we will look forward to developing these areas, and I'm sure Professor Bakshi, who is here, who will also give his talk, and he has very rich experience, and we look forward to very close cooperation in all these areas. Thank you very much, all the members from the NPTC group of institutions, and from own institutions from India, and Mr. Gagan, Professor Bakshi, and Professor Vimal, and all of you. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words and highlighting upon how Indian higher education is expanding. And in that, you talked about how from history we have started. Now higher education and school education is the priority, and it more so in terms of the quality imperatives. And National Education Policy 2020 focuses on that. And here we are at GAD-TLC helping teacher colleagues to learn the newer skills, how technology can be integrated, and learn from our other counterparts across the world. And in a new collaboration, here we are with NPTC group of colleges and our team led by, we have Chris Manley, and James also will be joining by the late evening. And rightly said that we have to be also looking on the assessment parameters. I think Chris mentioned about that. How do you check about the confidence level in communication and so on? So when we are introducing skill-based courses, then different skills, how they can be assessed so that there is a uniformity, and how we bring into rubrics all these things. I think we have to learn and even evolve the model which will be useful in Indian context. And India also is a diverse country, and in different states, again, there are various challenges. And so what I am really looking for with this network, we'll have series of programs with NPTC where all those teachers who will be involved, we can work as a team and see how we can evolve better models and implement them also. And now taking the theme further for today's webinar, the future of teaching learning, we have Professor Bakshi, who already introduced. I think this is again stalwart in higher education and has evolved various ways how it can be done so that the quality can be taken at a very serious note. So over to you, Professor Bakshi. Please give your insights on the future of teaching learning, at what is the way ahead, and then how our preparedness has to be. Sir, over to you, please.
Thank you very much, Vimal, and good evening once again, everybody. So let me now share my thoughts on the future of teaching learning. And for that, I have a small presentation. Let me share my screen. Vimal, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. Please. Yeah, it's fine.
I hope nothing is, something is coming in between. I don't know what.
No, it's fine here, sir.
No, just a minute. Okay. So this is the title of my talk, Future of Teaching Learning. And I have also added in this teaching profession. So I will talk about future of teaching learning and the teaching profession. You know, you will all agree that predicting the future of anything is always risky in the face of unknown variables and changing conditions. Therefore, whatsoever I think may not always be there, but still I am making an attempt. And this talk is based on my conceptualization and vision. This talk is mainly in 3 parts. In part 1, I will talk about the importance of teaching learning. You know, you will all agree that learning is the acquisition of knowledge, skills, attitude, values, etc. through study, experience, or being taught. So whenever we talk about learning, it involves 3 things: knowledge, skills, attitude, etc. And the 3 organs are involved: head, where thinking takes place; hand, where doing takes place; and heart, where feelings take place. So that is the meaning of learning. And you will all agree that learning is the basic human skill. You know, from childhood onwards, a child starts learning without any teaching. That's the basic human skill. And you know, one thing we have to keep it in mind, as Mahatma Gandhi once said, that learning changes your perceptions. As you learn more and more, your perceptions about things changes. And then your perceptions become your beliefs become your thoughts become your words, then actions, then habits, values, and ultimately destiny. So you can very well imagine how important is learning for a person. We do learning from 3 types of education: formal education, informal education, or non-formal education. And you know, learning, you will all agree, is a continuous process from childhood onwards. That is why we say it is lifelong learning. But in this talk, we are focusing on formal education, but others are also very, very important. You know, what is the ultimate aim or goal of education? Ultimate goal of education is to produce good human beings, responsible citizens, and a competent professional. And a competent professional means he or she should have knowledge, skills, attitudes, etc. See, you may be in any profession you may take. In that profession, you always require knowledge of various things, you need skills, and you need attitudes, values, etc. So these things make a person a competent professional. And these things come from education. And please remember, education is relevant only when it is able to serve the needs of the changing society. Because education has been there always, but it should change. It should serve the needs of the changing society. That is something we have to keep it in mind. And we are now living in the 21st century world. And this world is changing very, very fast. And in this world, if we have to give education or quality education, it should focus on three things. One is knowledge. It includes disciplinary knowledge, interdisciplinary knowledge, and practical knowledge. Second is 21st century skills. And the third is values, attitudes, etc. That is the overall personality of a person. And in any institution, for imparting this education, we need to have conducive learning environment and adequate infrastructure. Only then our students or we will be able to thrive and succeed. Now, you may ask the question, what are 21st century skills? These are a set of abilities which our students or even we should possess if we want to be successful. These are under three headings: learning skills, which include critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. Then we have literacy skills, information literacy, media literacy, and technology literacy. And the third is the life skills: flexibility, leadership, initiative, productivity, and social skills. Taken together, these are 12 fundamental skills. These personal skills can be the deciding factor in any profession. You may be in any profession, these skills will be a big help to you and they will help in elevating your job performance. And why these skills are important? Because you cannot have machines with these skills. You can't have a machine which is critically thinking, or you can't have a machine which is having leadership quality. And these three aspects of education, knowledge, skills, and personality, they ultimately determine the competence of an individual. That is why everybody talks about competency-based education and assessment. Our education should not only focus on knowledge, it should also focus on skills and personality development also. And that is why in this 21st century, focus is on acquiring competence. So this was my part one. Now I will come to part two, which focuses on teaching learning in the light of the challenges in the 21st century. See, in the 21st century, these are going to be the challenges for the education system. One is uncertainty about future jobs. We do not know where our students will be employed tomorrow. There is a future of jobs report published by World Economic Forum, which says we don't know what type of jobs will exist 10, 13 years later on. Second challenge is the challenge coming from artificial intelligence. So this is an age of artificial intelligence where, the intelligence of the students will be equal to artificial intelligence by the time they finish their education. So it means we will be in those jobs which machines can very well operate. Therefore, robotics and automation are going to play a very, very important role. So this is a big challenge. And third is massification. There is a lot of focus on increasing the gross enrollment ratio in higher education. And it is believed that very soon, we are going to have very few traditional jobs, but many takers. So that means there is going to be a big, big competition in future. Next challenge is, world is witnessing Industrial Revolution 4 and even 5. So this is a total technology-mediated education we need now, because the workforce for Industrial Revolution will come out of the education system. So we will have to accordingly prepare workforce for these revolutions. Then one more challenge which is going to come is, earlier, teachers used to be the source of knowledge. but now there are going to be the multiple sources of knowledge. So this is going to be another challenge. And one more, that one of the problems associated with education is a mismatch between education and employment. What our students acquire and what industries require, there is a big gap between the two. So the question is, these are the 6 major challenges for an education system. And if you notice them minutely, they are the consequence of technological advancement. So question is how to face those challenges. And for that, teaching learning can play a very, very important role. Please remember, teaching learning is the most important component of the educational process. Other 2 components are curriculum and assessment, but teaching learning is the most important one. And since the challenges come from technology, therefore teaching learning in the 21st century will also be technology driven to meet those challenges, and it has to be aligned with the challenges of the changing world. Please remember, technology, if used creatively, can make a big difference in the way the teachers teach and the students learn. Now, question is how to change teaching learning in future. That's basically the theme of this. First of all, we have to be very clear that learning is not the product of teaching. Learning is the product of activity of the learners. So we need to engage learners. So teaching learning should change in such a way that we are able to engage learners, because better engagement of learners will lead to better retention of learned information. So that should be the focus of teaching learning. Unfortunately, in India and at many places, we still follow talk and chalk method of teaching. It is a teacher-centric approach, mainly a monologue. Many complex concepts cannot be explained on the board. It presumes that all students learn in an identical fashion. Then you can't solve many problems in the class. Then it is slow and time-consuming. The biggest problem for this talk and chalk method is it's like one size fits all. So this is a serious problem. That's why, there is a very famous paradigm of one. What is this paradigm of one? In talk and chalk method, one teacher teaching one subject to one class of one age, using one curriculum at one pace in one classroom for 1 hour. That's how we do it. And the focus of this method is generally on examination, rote learning, and scoring high marks. But that's not the purpose of education. Education is not the learning of the facts. It is the training of the mind to think. Unfortunately, in our country also, the focus is on well-filled mind, while what we need is a well-formed mind. So that should the education aim at. Real education through teaching learning must transform the learners. And how do you transform the learners? By encouraging thinking, innovation, and creativity. So because of this, automatically a well-formed mind will come out. That should be the main aim of our teaching and learning. Therefore, in this technology age, we need to shift focus from teacher-centric to learner-centric method of teaching. So learner-centric methods should be followed. That is the first step in future. Because the thinking is that students learn best when they are engrossed in the topic, motivated to seek out new knowledge and skills, because they need them in order to solve the problems at hand. So involve the students, engage the students. So slowly, it will automatically shift from rote learning to experiential learning. And what is experiential learning? Experiential learning is learning by doing. So that's what we should aim at. And to foster experiential learning and critical thinking among our students is an important objective of our new education policy. So new education policy also wants that. And one thing more which one needs to keep it in mind is that experiential learning, that means the learning by doing, needs to be adopted at all levels in formal education, school education as well as higher education. Rather, it should start from school education. So this is how teaching learning should change in the years to come. And please remember, experiential learning is a very broad category of teaching method. It's not one method. So many methods come under this category, which will involve the learner in the learning process. And in these methods, role of a teacher is different. It is like a facilitator in experiential learning. And, it is said that this learning is a creative approach to modern curriculum. So that is how the things will change and should change. And experiential learning does not include one method. It includes all these methods: case studies, project-based and problem-based learning, collaborative learning, including TPS. TPS is think, pair, share strategy. And then flipped classroom model, which is a blended learning model. So these are different methods, but in each one of them, the learner is involved, engaged. That's why it leads to better learning. If you look at some of the leading universities of the world, Harvard, Stanford, Wharton, in most of them, focus is on case studies, project-based learning, problem-based learning, etc. And very little focus on lecture-based learning. Unfortunately, in our country, we still focus on lecture-based learning. So this is where the change needs to be brought in future. Please remember, if we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we are going to rob them of tomorrow. So teachers must change with the changing times. So now you agree that technology has changed the way education is imparted now. And during Corona time, it could very well be seen how technology came to our rescue. And this is how technology has changed higher education. Just a glimpse. Teaching learning has changed. E-learning, MOOCs, PPT, video clippings, etc. are there. Experimental work is done using virtual labs. Revision of syllabi you can do using email, discussion forum, or video conferencing. In research, literature survey can be expedited using electronic databases. Online exams are becoming very popular in assessment. Professional development is now done online. And then there are ICT-empowered pedagogies, which are learner-centric. They are also being embraced. And one more thing which is happening in teaching learning is that self-learning is going to be the new norm in the 21st century. Self-learn. You don't need always a teacher to learn. Once you come out of schools or colleges, you don't need a teacher. You can do it self-learn. And the biggest advantage is anytime, anywhere, anyone, any number of times. And why this is possible? Because there are multiple sources of knowledge now available. You don't have to depend only on the teacher. Just you need is a laptop, smartphone, or a tablet, and using internet, you can learn anything on your own after a particular level. And you can decide your own pace of learning. You can discuss it with your friends. You can collaborate with your friends. You can communicate with your friends. All this is a total new way of learning. And what has made it possible? Again, the technology. And there is a report that by 2050, 90% of student population will be there in online education. So you can very well imagine how things are going to change in future. And in this, online education and in self-learning, blockchain technology is going to be a big help, because blockchain is a system of recording information in a way that makes it difficult or impossible to change, hack, or cheat. It's like a digital ledger. No editing is possible. So this can be very, very helpful, especially in online education. And the benefits of blockchain technology are trust, stronger security, higher efficiency, and transparency. And even for students, it is very ideal for storing their academic data and records, and thus monitor their learning. This is going to be a new development which is going to happen in future. Then, gamification is going to come in a very big way in learning. Basically, it is based on the theory that students will be more engaged with the training process and they will attain greater academic success if learning is based on gaming concepts. What are the gaming concepts? Competition, incentives, and goal attainment. So in all subjects, many e-learning games are now coming where you play as well as you learn. So this is a new way of learning in future. For example, I come from the discipline of chemistry. These are some of the e-learning games for chemistry students on different topics. Then these are some of the video games for teaching learning chemistry, which are very, very popular. So you can see, again, technology is changing the future of teaching learning. And one more thing which is now going to happen, and that is personalized learning and integrated curriculum. It is said they are the future of education in the 21st century. So personalized learning is coming to scene. You may ask why there is a need of personalized learning, because every learner is unique. Every learner has different needs, different comprehension rate, different learning capacity, and the methods of gauging information also vary from individual to individual. So every learner is unique. So there should be, you can find out the strengths and weaknesses of an individual using artificial intelligence in learning analytics. So this can be a big help. Once you know, then you can prescribe personalized learning. So you can say personalized learning is an educational approach that aims to customize learning for each learner's strengths, needs, skills, and interests. It's something like, a doctor giving a prescription for a patient, depending upon what are the symptoms. So for every individual is unique. So it's like giving tuitions to an individual. So there will be a separate curriculum for each individual. And that is how the future is going to be. Besides this, integrated curriculum is also coming. That is, presently we teach different subjects with no connection. But integrated curriculum will connect different areas of study by cutting across subject matter lines and emphasize on unifying concepts. So that is how integrated curriculum concept is coming. And one more thing which is coming, metaverse in learning is going to come in 10, 15 years. What is metaverse? Metaverse is, you can say the next iteration of internet, next level of internet, which is coming. So this metaverse enables learners to attend virtual classes remotely while experiencing the elements of real classroom with the help of augmented reality and virtual reality. You have the virtual reality and augmented reality headsets. So you experience the real atmosphere as it is in the classroom. So that is metaverse in learning. And that's going to come in, maybe it is said in next 10 to 15 years, this will become very, very popular. These are the various advantages of metaverse. Teaching would be more interactive. You can discover more information, make learning fun with gamification, and then flexible learning concepts. So you can see how the world of learning is going to change. Now I just take 2-3 minutes. I come to the last part, that how are going to be the 21st century teachers, the future teachers. You know, the roles of the teachers are going to change significantly in technology age. We would have never expected what is now going to happen. Some teachers worry that there will be no students to teach anymore in near future, as technology might take over teaching our students. You know, this is a big statement which I am quoting. Many teachers worry. The way technology is taking over the teaching, there may not be students whom you teach. So what will happen to the future of teaching profession? What are going to be the new roles of the teachers? In what roles the teachers will function? That is a big, big worry. One thing is certain, that teachers will not have the same role as they used to have. Their roles are going to change significantly as far as the teaching goes. Research is different. There they will have to do, but as far as teaching goes, it will be different. These are going to be the roles of the 21st century teachers. They will have to become tech savvy in ICT skills. If students are enrolled in e-learning and MOOCs, they must learn how to manage virtual classroom and discussion forum. They need to engage students by learner-centric pedagogies. Teachers will become coaches, mentors, or facilitators. And then they should also be proficient in the development of e-content and MOOCs. So excellent writing skills. So these are the new roles for all of which all of you should be ready to face. Otherwise, in our traditional roles, it won't work. And for all this change, we need the transformation in our teachers. A change of mindset is required. You know, don't think that what I know is enough. No, I must learn more. And regular and continuous professional development of teachers with a focus on their empowerment is the need of the hour. Without that, we will be lagging behind. Mindset has to change. Look at the quote. Birds born in a cage think flying is an illness. No, we have to get rid of this thinking. Because, you know, it's well said that the quality of an educational system can never exceed the quality of its teachers. So if you want to raise the quality of an educational system, you must raise the competence level of the teachers. They should be ahead of the student, because present day students are already very much tech savvy. And you know, this is my last slide. You know, when I was preparing this, I was thinking that ephemeralization is proving true. You may ask, what is this ephemeralization? You know, this is a term which was coined by Buckminster Fuller. You know, his name came with fullerene. You know, he believed that technology advancement would one day allow humans to achieve more and more output. Output means product, services, information, etc., with less and less input, until eventually you can do everything with nothing. And that is now seems to be proving true. Technology advancement are taking place, and you know, time taken is very little resources are required. There was a time when the computers used to be very, very big, but hardly any capacity, but now they have become very, very small. So this seems to be proving true. Fuller's belief is that doing more with less process will result in an ever-increasing standards of living for an ever-growing population despite finite resources. This is now a discussion topic in academics, that is it really proving true? But the way the technology is going, because technology is a journey and not a destination, it seems that what Buckminster Fuller said at one stage, that may prove true. So that's basically all what I want to say. Thank you very much, and all the best for this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving insight on how the future of teaching, learning, and especially the teacher's role will be there. and introducing the concept of metaverse to all the teachers. And there are experiments going on where there are like entire metaverse school being evolved, where the students will have the flexibility. They can at their pace pick up the module and look at into that with all the animations, virtual and augmented reality, a part of that. It's going to be really exciting. But I think we all have to go a long way to that, right from, I think, basic ICT skills which teachers are having challenge, to augmented reality, virtual reality, AI in education, to provide the personalized learning is really seems to be very exciting journey. And here we have, welcome Professor Ved Prakash sir. Good morning to you. And we are having these deliberations on the future of teaching learning. So before I call upon Professor Ved Prakash, some more important information I would like to give regarding today's webinar. This is the India-UK International Webinar on Future of Teaching Learning, and those who have not yet registered, because for certification this data will be required, please do fill up this registration form. Whether you are attending on Zoom or on YouTube, you have to register on this, and then also we'll be sharing a feedback form where if you fill both the forms, then we will be issuing you the corresponding e-certificates. And as Chris told that we are having exciting FTP in line for all of you, where both the teams from NPTC group of colleges and GAD-TLC, we will be conducting this 1-week FDP program. We'll be sharing the detailed brochure with all of you once we have your email ID. So we'll be sending you this. And this will be scheduled in the second half of January 2023. The exact dates we will be communicating soon. And there is another very immediate program, FDP, coming up, which is again, I hope all of you are aware that we have, our team has developed more than 50 MOOCs. And the 4-quadrant model for EPG Pathshala project designed by myself and Professor Bakshi, and in the guidance of Professor Ved Prakash sir, where at UGC, he was looking this entire project for 77 subjects. So what is the philosophy behind? How do you develop? What are the tools required for the development of MOOCs in the 4-quadrant format, which is now a very important part of the teachers, where they will also be getting the APIs, the academic incentives that we get, and almost many at par with the various research publication we do. So this is done so that the teachers can be motivated to enhance the teaching learning, and in that direction, these resources are very important. So we will be deliberating upon how the MOOCs can be developed, how the e-content and the teachers e-kit, how you can yourself contribute if you're not getting a project for MOOCs, how you as a group of teachers can contribute towards the digital resources, which can be then shared with other teachers as open education resources. And we will also share them with the NPTC group of colleges teachers, and maybe if they also are interested, they can learn this and also share it with the fellow colleagues in India. And so this is open for registration, so details will be sent for this also. And here we are also offering bulk registration for entire university or college. If you feel your college will have more participant, then it will be a collaborative event with you, with the obviously the NAC benefits will be there. So that's how we propose to take it further. And now coming back to this international webinar, we are having yet another stalwart from higher education in India, rather at the international level, Professor Ved Prakash sir, former chairman UGC. So we are really delighted to have you here, and thank you so much for waking up so early. I know you must be doing that, but then for sitting for this professional discourse, I think we are really thankful for your valuable time. And over to you, sir. We are looking forward for your words of wisdom to enlighten us on this theme, which is future of teaching learning. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Professor Vimal, for inviting me to this India-UK International webinar about the future of teaching and learning. One thing we have been hearing for a very long time, that the world is in perpetual transformation. I'm sorry, I'm still in that mode. I forgot. Let me welcome Professor Christopher Manley from the NPTC College of Group of College. Professor James, Head of International Operation from NPTC. My esteemed colleagues, Professor Bakshi, Professor Jaswinder Singh, Principal of Guru Angad Dev Khalsa College, and Dr. Vimal. Let me come in my form now. My apologies for not addressing our international colleagues before getting into my presentation, actually. So I was saying that we have been hearing this for quite some time, that the world is in perpetual transformation. I would like to further extend it to that so is higher education. Higher education has developed at a different pace in different societies. It has taken different routes in different cultures, actually. Some of the institutions of higher learning existing as early as in 387 BCE. I mean, we have heard about Plato's Academy long before the establishment of universities and colleges. And for a fairly long period of time, higher education was not meant for mass education. That was the scenario all over the globe, actually. In earlier times, higher educational institutions were focusing only on teaching and learning of language, regional local laws, and prevention and preservation of intangible assets. Most of the branches of study in those days were seen to be related to humanistic perspective. It was only after the establishment of the European universities in the late 11th and early 12th century when the idea of faculties began to emerge at a very slow pace. The idea of faculties gained a momentum during the 19th century with the emergence of the Humboldtian model of higher education, which essentially meant structures of disciplines which were created at that point in time, self-governance, academic freedom, and integration of education and research. These were the essential features of the Humboldtian model of higher education. This model of university system continued to dominate higher education for over a century. Some aspects of the Humboldtian model began to disintegrate with the emergence of newer areas of study during the first half of the 20th century. Gradually, the walls across the disciplines which were created, they started fading away. Consequently, interdisciplinarity and collaboration across different faculties became a strong feature of teaching and research activities within the universities. Several modern subjects which were unheard of some years ago began to be seen as part of newer emerging disciplines. The present century is seen as an extension of the previous century, with emergence of newborn scientific disciplines with interdisciplinary focus. Consequently, one could see discernible transformation in various facets of higher education, be it on demand side, or on supply side, or on a structural side, or on pedagogical side, or be it on certification side. Higher education is no longer a privilege. That is a greater transformation, actually, which has happened. It has become a social demand all over the world campuses are increasingly diversifying due to swelling aspirations of people from the underserved sections of the society. And the massification of higher education, though it has not happened everywhere. If you take the example of India, we have recently entered into the massification stage because we have crossed the 20% gross enrollment ratio in higher education only a couple of years ago. We are currently around 28% of the gross enrollment ratio in higher education. There is a growing demand for both now equity and quality across the globe. But with this, the comparability and compatibility of the diverse system are throwing up new challenges for which we have to get prepared. Revamping of curricular provisions and pedagogical processes have become pressing priority to address both academic and psychological needs of diverse groups of learners. And alongside academic excellence, because we keep saying that academic excellence should be the primary goal of each department of the college or a university. But it requires strategies to address issues of adjustment and acclimatization of diverse groups of learners on diversified campuses. It is not only the academic excellence which is creating problem, but it is also the issue of adjustment and acclimatization of the diverse group of learners which are joining higher education system. Until recently, most of the institutions were engaged in imparting knowledge and its certification. As a result of that, students continue to graduate in different domains of knowledge, and the world of work or the market forces, they continue to hire them based on their potential. But lately, what we have been hearing, and we have been hearing it very loudly, that skill gaps have widened at an alarming rate. Skill gaps have widened at an alarming rate. Needs of modern societies are changing, and they are changing at a faster pace, and they cannot function without increasing the number of educated and skilled workforce. Unlike in the past, the surge in demand of reskilling and upskilling have been changing the profile of students. Now working employees are coming back to universities not only to upgrade their skills, but also to acquire new skills. Universities are required to create specific programs for such non-traditional students. They need to redesign such programs either in online mode or in hybrid mode or in the conventional mode, depending upon their strengths. If you look at the recent trends in higher education, actually, there are too many, but I have identified only a couple of them, which are 12 in number. One of the recent trends is that there is a growing diversity both in students and faculty. In our country, we have come up with a new scheme wherein we are going to hire professors from the industry. So the profile of the students is changing, the profile of teachers is also changing. There is also a gradual increase in number of non-traditional students. This was the practice more in the Western world, but now we can see it in our part of the world as well. There is a continuous challenge of upskilling and reskilling. There is also an emergence of modern disciplines. Like I had said a little while ago that we had not heard many names of many disciplines sometimes ago, but they came up and we embraced them. We embraced them with an ambivalent attitude, but we had no option. So we had to do that. There is also an emergence of modern disciplines. Like Professor Bakshi was talking to us a little while ago about this artificial intelligence, automation, robotization. There's a continued focus on interdisciplinary teaching and research now. National education policy, which we have brought out recently, has laid greater emphasis on interdisciplinary teaching and research. And there is an incremental increase in automation. There is an emphasis on replacement of conventional mode of teaching and learning with hybrid and flipped classroom mode of teaching and learning. This is what this illustrious group of Professor Bimal and Professor Bakshi and Professor Jaswinder have been focusing upon. They have been organizing the faculty development program, laying greater emphasis on the hybrid model and the flipped classroom model of teaching and learning. And along with that, there is also a greater emphasis now on cooperative teaching and learning. There is a growing popularity of learning by anyone from anywhere at any time. And apart from that, another trend which is creating a lot of problems on the campuses, that there is an obsession for national and global ranking. And lastly, there is also a weakening trends of humanities and social sciences because the focus is too much on science, technology, engineering, and management. The recent trends in higher education are forcing universities to make necessary structural changes, programmatic changes, and pedagogical changes. They are also forcing universities to give a different orientation to their research programs. The modern societies are also expecting universities to prepare workforces which can meet the needs of the modern world. One thing, however, is certain, and that is that universities will continue to be the most sought after places for both traditional and non-traditional students. But they will have to provide more options and greater flexibility in terms of curricular provisions and their modes of delivery. Students will come up with newer kinds of demands, newer kinds of programs. They will have to complement teaching and learning by greater use of information and communication technology tools, but with the clear understanding that the IC tools cannot replace the universities and colleges. Students are going to be more fastidious. They will be paying greater attention to details, unlike in the past, when they will pick up whatever would be available on the campus. But now they will pay greater attention to details on both academic and administrative issues. Students may even prefer to construct their own degrees. There may be greater demands for online delivery. Universities thus will have to create far more efficient system for easy and quick redressal of students' academic and administrative needs. Universities will have to provide more options and greater flexibility in terms of selection of curricular provisions and even modes of delivery so that students can freely exercise their options. But along with this massification of higher education all over the world, more and more students will be requiring financial aids. Universities will have to work out modalities to help students meet their post-admission requirements, particularly the financial needs. Universities will continually come under pressure to offer more and more market-oriented programs. But this is going to create, it has already created a lot of problem for humanities and social sciences and languages, which are equally important. So they will have to strike a balance between these two sets of knowledge domains. There will be a demand for reskilling and upskilling by non-traditional students, for which many universities in our country have no plan, no scheme. So they will have to have a proper plan and proper scheme in place. So that reskilling and upskilling of non-traditional students can also take place. Another thing which we have noticed in the recent past, that students have great courage for a foreign degree, whether it is available in a virtual mode or through physical transfer. But such students will have to be better communicators and collaborators to fulfill their aspirations of earning a foreign degree. Universities will have to restructure their curricula and degree requirements to force cross-border collaborations. If we are going to have a dual degree program, or if we are going to have a joint degree program, or if we are going to have a twinning program, I think we'll have to prepare the students properly insofar as the communication skills are concerned. Universities will have to harness technology as an equalizer between countries. The role of teacher, as Professor Bakshi was saying, will change from a specialist to a facilitator and motivator. Universities will have to orient teachers to liaison with the students on a regular basis. They will have to focus more on both local and global concerns, and as a result of which the agenda for research will undergo greater transformation. Universities thus will have to give interdisciplinary orientation to higher education. Universities will remain under constant criticism for their disconnect with the world of work. Some years ago, we have heard about some reports wherein the concerns were raised that only 25% of the graduates from the Indian institutions are employable. So they will have to prepare market-ready workforce. This would be a big challenge. Automation and robotization will put another pressure on the university system. It has already done that. Like if we recall a couple of years ago, that had happened because of the invasion of the information and communication technology. And because of the ambivalent attitude of the Indian university system, the government of India had to establish Indian Institute of Information Technology. Later on, the mainstream universities embraced the ICT, but at the initial stage, they were quite ambivalent about that. Universities will have to focus on artificial intelligence. They will have to help industry build alternate modes of lifestyle like system for auto-driven cars. Universities will have to align their vision with the requirements of this fast changing world, which is a big challenge. But let us remember that the world has been, as I had said right in the beginning, in perpetual transformation ever since the humanity exists. But now the pace of that transformation is much faster than ever before. And under the circumstances, the universities will have to continually change in the changing landscape of times. By far, the best hope is the universities, because they are the organizations which take the societies to the next stage of development. So this is the challenge that we have to prepare for, and we have to do it on each and every campus of institutions of higher learning. And I think we can do it much better through international collaboration. I would like to congratulate Professor Bimal for fostering linkages with the international organizations. I would also like to compliment and congratulate Professor Christopher and Professor James for having come forward for this collaboration. I think through these international collaborations, we can provide better services to the teaching community, and they will be hugely benefited by this kind of collaboration. With this, once again, I take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to Professor Vimal, Professor Bakshi, and Professor Jaswinder. I'm also extremely grateful to Professor Christopher and Professor James for having taken this lead. And I think in future, we will have more programs jointly with the NPTC group of colleges. Thank you very much, Dr. Vimal. And now it is over to you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Sir, it is always a delight listening to you and your thoughts. Then how you have mentioned that Indian higher education need to reshape itself, and that policy document NEP 2020 is really aspirational document where quality imperatives we have to be really looking, and not just the peaks of excellence, we have many, but then every classroom, every institution, every student, if they can be taken to the life challenges, and that is what is, even I think the teachers have to be aware about what are the job skills which the students will be going into, and many jobs are not even created when you talked about the driverless cars and other things. So these will require a overhaul of the entire system, where teachers, rather than just being information providers, I think they have to be engaging students into activities, problem solving, discussions, and these are the things which needs to be now created and shared with other fellow colleagues. So in this direction, rather than just FDPs, I think I'm really thankful to the entire team of NPTC group of colleges. I welcome James. Good evening. You're traveling in India. Last week we met at our center, and we are looking forward to your words, James, about the type of collaboration we are taking further. And let us see how we go ahead. But yes, one program is already in line in January, a very exciting FTP where teachers will be trained into various technology tools, the use of LMS, instruction designing, how the proper assessment rubrics also can be framed. So over to James for adding what we have missed out. James, you can unmute. Are you co-host? Shrutika, just check out Peter. James.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Done? Yeah. James, you can unmute yourself now. Just check out. No. Shrutika, but I think it's not done. Just check again.
Done, ma'am.
Hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's now audible. Please. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm very, very sorry that I've come slightly late. I've just arrived back to Delhi from beautiful Shimla. I've just arrived at the hotel, so I've just popped myself in one of the foyers. So firstly, I would like to say namaste to all. And again, thank you so much for Principal Dr. Singh and of course Dr. Vimal and all other distinguished guests this evening for this wonderful session. And of course, not forgetting my wonderful staff at NPTC Group of Colleges, Chris Manley and Angela Gill, and other staff members that are on here this morning in the UK, but of course this evening here in India. I would really love to say thank you, really. It's a celebration. I've had a wonderful time here at the moment in India, and this is just the beginning. And I believe this session today is really celebrating our partnership and moving forward with GAD and TLC, and of course Khalsa College and University of Delhi, to work with partnership really on teacher training and the fundamentals of what's really important in the South students. And via our staff, new methods, pedagogies, and really working together as a team here in the UK, but of course in India, to share best practices and to really change the world, firstly using education. So I'm aware that my colleague Chris has done a wonderful presentation. I'm very sorry I've missed it. I've not seen it. But I know we've done some wonderful work, and Chris and staff have done some excellent work, not just in India, but overseas. From NPTC Group of Colleges, we are very, very proud to what we've achieved in delivering excellence in education for the past 92 years. And we wish to embark and work with colleagues here in India to really share best practice and really some collaborative modes. I won't talk too much, Dr. Vimal. I'm aware there's been lots discussed today, but I just wanted to say a great thank you and a pleasure, and I very much look forward to this being the beginning to look at further courses that we can work together with in partnership and of course discuss and move forward in India. So diolch yn fawr iawn, so thank you very much in Welsh, and I very much look forward to our further programs and very much look forward to January and then starting on our first program. So very short and sweet from me, Dr. Vimal, but thank you so much.
Thank you so much, James, for your inputs. And I think this is something which we were really looking forward that how we can take this collaboration further, where our colleagues can benefit from this so that the models you have there and the models we have, we can really work on improving upon them and then molding as per our Indian context in our classroom. And in 2017, we had a group of teachers who went to Ottawa Carleton University, where we learned again on blended learning and the tools, and it was really enriching experience. But I always thought that how to continue, and came this Corona. I think we have got the model where now online teaching learning tools we were deliberating upon, and we thought that yes, why don't we go into trainings also online? And it is so beneficial that our colleagues from different parts of the country, they can join at their own convenience, and even this video will be available till tomorrow recorded. Those who have missed out, they can log in, join, and fill up our both registration forms. We will be taking it further. So I thank each one of you from NPTC group of colleges, James Levlin, Christopher Menray, Angela, I can see many others, and special mention to Gagan, who actually connected us, and Mr. Joy Nandi also from UK Awards. Hi Gagan, you are there, so we could know. Thank you for connecting us with NPTC group of colleges, and we wish to take it further. And I'll share this information that yes, along with the upcoming blended and online teaching learning international FDP. So here it is jointly done with the help of NPTC group of colleges and GAD-TLC along with UK Awards, and now GAD-TLC is a UK Award Center also. So there will be 2 certificates which will be issued to the participants. One certificate will be issued by UK Award, which is recognized internationally along with the credits and all mentioned, and 1 week international online FTP certificate by GAD-TLC, which you can avail for your promotional requirements under the CAS in India. So both of these will be available, and the detailed poster will be sharing with all of you, those who have registered and will be filling the feedback form. And this is upcoming FDP, as I mentioned, on 8th to 14th. We will be delivering this FDP on development of MOOCs, e-content, and teachers e-kit in the 4-quadrant format. And rather, Chris, I'll request you and your team also, why don't you also join and give us a try to understand what models we are having here in terms of concept of MOOC, and maybe we can design the further upcoming international FDP, also how collaborative open education resources can be there, and we can share it with the teachers of both the countries. And please do join our Telegram link for our forthcoming programs. Many we do it in collaboration in India and now gone international, and you can, any queries, here is the GAD-TLC WhatsApp number. The feedback form for today's event is now open. Please filling up both the registration form and feedback form is essential for giving the certification. So please do fill both these forms. So the registration form is this one, and my team will be putting these links in the YouTube channel as well as in the Zoom. So all of you can please go for it. And now before we close, there are a couple of questions I will request the esteemed panelists to please take. Whether one question, I think Professor Vedprakash sir, if you are around, please. There is one question coming directly to you is, let me read it out. My question to you is, research aptitude and teaching aptitude are two different skills. What is your view about both the aptitudes in recruitment process for teachers? So your thoughts on this?
I think both are equally important, and we presume that teaching and research are two sides of the same coin. You can't have good teaching without good research, and therefore we should lay equal emphasis on both. But the problem arises in those institutions where we do not have access to quality research facilities, actually. In those cases, the problem is that the teachers are quite eager to undertake research, but in the absence of the research facilities, they are not able to earn as much credit as they would have been, as they ought to have earned. So under the circumstances, I think we need to strike a balance between the two, and we should give equal weightage. In fact, during my tenure at the University Grants Commission, we had come up with the proposal that good teaching is as important as good research. Some people were of the opinion that it is not necessary that a good teacher could be a good researcher. But I think we cannot advance knowledge without research, and therefore it is extremely necessary for us to use other facilities. If we do not have facility on the campus of an individual institution, then in our country, the government of India have created joint research facilities. For instance, I'll give you the example. In astronomy and astrophysics, we have an excellent center of research in Pune. For nuclear science research, we have an excellent center right here in Delhi. For atomic energy, we have the Atomic Energy Consortium in Indore with its branch offices there. So what is needed is that we need to create awareness through these programs where such research facilities are available. For instance, in humanities and social sciences, we have an outstanding facilities in a place where from Professor James has returned in Simla. So I'm of the opinion that both are equally important, and we must exploit the existing facilities for the promotion of both. For which mentoring is extremely necessary, actually, and the responsibility lies on the senior members of the faculty to mentor the younger lot so that they can swim together.
Thank you so much, sir. I think this also question, answers another question, which was like, we are having lack of funding. I think that is really a challenge, but even I agree with what you say is because unless or until we start doing research, our own thinking is limited around the teaching learning that we are doing. So research definitely evolve a teacher as a personality, even when you struggle for fundings and then how you manage and then how they can be linked, because research, when you see if it can be related to the society problems, then you also try to give better challenging activities in your classroom, that how it can be applied. So that is another thing which but then yes, not only research, but teaching learning.
Let me tell you, Professor Vimal, on this aspect, funding will continue to be a problem. And funding of research continues to be a problem all over the world, actually. But we have two kinds of problem. On the one hand, we do not have adequate resources available. But on the other hand, we do not have quality research proposals to pick up the resources which are available there. The funding, the national level agencies like the Department of Earth Sciences, Department of Science and Technology, Department of Biotechnology, University Grants Commission, they find that the proposals which are submitted by the researchers are not quality research proposals, and as a result of which they are not passed. So my submission would be, my advice would be that when you organize these faculty development program, I think some programs should be exclusively done on development of good research proposals. You may be having an excellent idea, but if the proposal is not properly drafted, then you lose out in the race. So that is also one of the problems. I think with the NPTC, a group of colleges, you may like to organize one program on research, on development of good research proposals, wherein even the priority areas can also be identified. As I had said in my presentation in a little while ago, that the nature of research, is also undergoing enormous amount of transformation. People are not giving any value to repetitive type, the stereotyped research. They want solutions. People are looking forward to new knowledge, actually, and that will come only when we have innovative programs, research programs which can impact the lives of the common man. Research proposals which can address the local concerns, the regional concerns, the national concerns, and along with that, the global concerns. That is what is lacking. Sorry. Funding is a problem, but there are agencies, and now we are coming up with the National Research Foundation, which will be awarding research proposals on a competitive basis, for which we should prepare well.
Thank you, sir, for your queries answering. And I think this is a good idea that you have given, because not many colleagues know how to draft the research proposal properly, and especially looking at how much grant they can get, and judiciously it has to be linked with the recurring and non-recurring, and even in terms of while running the project, because myself, as you're aware, we have successfully completed more than 20 crores project from Government of India, where every 31st March you are being watched that if you're not able to, if you get funding, you're not able to spend, and that too under the GFR norms, then also it becomes a bottleneck in getting more funding for the next year. So there are so many things which are required in getting the projects, in handling them properly, and in terms of their timely execution, so that you start with a small project and then ultimately you go to the next project approval board with more confidence. Yes, this is the project I have already done, successfully completed in the time, and this is what I'm looking for as the next one. So we are definitely lacking in these things, and we have to improve upon as teaching community. So both the teaching and research, I think, will add. When we draft these research proposals, I think we also have to be looking at how they can find out the solutions to society, some immediate problem, and if we can really make it industry linked. So rather than waiting for the funding from government agencies coming, we can also look from industry. And there are many institutions who are getting funding from industries, looking for their problems, involving the students into working around that and going into patents and then taking it as a joint initiative. So all these reforms, I think we have to be taking. And here also, Chris, I think we talked about that once we have this group of teachers doing FDP, we will be also jointly putting up some proposal. And if we can get some funding where we can travel along with the group of teachers to your institutions to have more face-to-face and a hands-on experience, I think we are really looking forward to that and will be working seriously on that note. But then that opportunity, my dear colleagues, will be given first preference to those who will now join in this new journey we have started with NPTC group of colleges. So be there in the team, and then as we get more and more opportunities, obviously those who are front runners, they will be going along with us. So what are you waiting for? I think many exciting programs coming. So be in tune with whatever activities are happening at GAD-TLC, especially our webinars are something where we share information on the upcoming activities and how we are planning further. So please attend them and share these Telegram link and the others to your fellow colleagues also, those who can, because at institution level, I feel if there is one teacher who is benefiting from these programs, it is not sufficient unless or until there is a majority number of teachers who are having same perception, same idea, same methodology, then only the institutional change will happen. And through different institutions, that's how our country can really. So NEP 2020 is there, but so much which needs to be done. And here we are for an interesting international collaboration. We'll be having many programs lined up, and I'm very sure that many of you will be with this co-learning journey where we all learn together. So last words, some few concluding remarks from Chris, if you'd like to add, Chris.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Obviously, thank you everybody for attending. Thank you for allowing me to explain the course and everything and these collaborations. Thank you for the distinguished speakers. I've really enjoyed this experience. And I think some parting words that I can give you of kind of advice is with regards to what Professor Prakash just said now with regards to funding applications is, you know, if you go for the big funding applications and they don't work out, try and look for something that's a little bit smaller to build up that confidence. Okay, so that's kind of experience I've had, is to look for smaller funding and then work your way up. So, you know, hopefully that'll be good. But certainly, you know, look forward to working with everybody in the near future. Thank you.
I think there's a question from OS Ahmed. Please reduce the fee of FDP in collaboration with UK program. I will answer this, OS.
Okay.
Please try to understand, first of all, here, it is being done on a no profit, no loss basis. We have visited already the Carleton University, and where there were around 2 lakh every teacher spent on the movement and the staying and the other logistic. So what we have done is, it is otherwise a 3-month certificate program which we have condensed in the form where there will be some live session, there will be many activities, some recorded session also. So this is something very reasonable without any profit on any side, and the fees is being directly being sent to UK Award, which is the body between alliance between NPTC group of colleges and GAD-TLC, and GAD-TLC is doing this as an additional help to our fellow colleagues. So this is something which has been deliberated upon and very, very reasonable. Believe you me, the type of learning you are going to have is something of the level that you like yourself feel that yes, something that we have benefited from the global experience. And look at my own case. From last 25 years, I am learning in various programs. I recall instruction designing, Chris, I recall around 20 years back, for just a 1-week program, I invested 1 lakh there. But then at that time, even I felt it was very high. But now if I look back, it is something which has evolved me as a different teacher as compared to who is knowing e-learning, instruction designing, how these then MOOCs and all. So all these things evolve, and I'm sure you have to be looking into something which is for your own evolving into a professional requirement. So slightly be selfish on that rather than some more expenses, I think. And this is just once program which is not to be missed upon. My real input will be on that. Okay. And yes, please, you are free, and I will be writing that on the brochure also. You have the fundings from your institution. From institutions, you can ask, like you ask for the conference charges or any other charges. You have the freedom where you can request your head of the institution. And if you want to give me some input, like in your institution, what are the type of cappings of the fundings, maybe we can slightly mold this program where, Chris, we can have it as a one-day conference followed by FDP, where those teachers who want to have maybe funding from their institution, if they can get it from conference point of view, they can get, and then they can continue for the FDP for a reasonable amount. So I'm looking for your feedback, and that's why the feedback link we were keeping it open. Please do mention. We will look into all those feedbacks and see wherever some change and some guidance can be given to you, that how you can be taken on board in these programs. So I hope this answers your query. Yeah. Okay, so no more query. And here, Angela, you have been here with us, please. And you are going to be very active speaker in that FDP. Like to unmute and say a few words?
I've just been taking everything in, Dr. Female. Thank you ever so much. Yeah, my colleagues Chris and James are the guys that will be presenting everything to you. I'm in the background getting everything sorted, but it's been an absolute pleasure listening to all the talks today. But yeah, I'm always here, and anything you need, you can always come through to myself.
Right. Thank you so much, Angelina. And good evening, everyone. And we say once again, on a formal vote of thanks, I will like to say thanks to all the distinguished personality, right from Professor Ved Prakash sir. Thank you, sir, so much for joining in this early morning I know you are in San Francisco, and the team of NPTC group of colleges, Christopher, Manley, James has come back to Delhi. He was traveling to Bangalore and other places, and entire team of NPTC group of colleges, in my own team, Professor A.K. Bakshi sir, Professor Jaswinder sir, all my GAD TLC technical team, and most importantly, all my dear colleagues who have joined as participants in this international webinar. So please do fill the feedback form. We are really looking for your feedbacks and how we can design our forthcoming programs, and even this upcoming January program, if there can be some inputs which will be helpful to you to have your registration fees reimbursed from your institution, we'll be happy to do that change. So thank you, everyone. Have a good day ahead, nice evening ahead, and see you again in some forums. And those immediately wanting to join, please don't miss my 8th December FDP. Predominantly, I'll be taking and sharing the ground level work that we have done in development of more than 50 MOOCs. So with these words, thank you each and every once again. Bye-bye. Namaste.
Thank you.
Have a very nice day ahead.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
From my side, wishing you all Merry Christmas in advance.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you.
Here, because yes, we'll be meeting with the NPTC group of colleges virtually in this forum. Yeah, but we'll have more meetings to come. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Just thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks all.
Thank you, everyone.
Hello, bye bye, good night.